Hello and welcome to another episode of my Productivity Mastery series, and this week we're looking at the weekly planning session. Now this is a crucial part of any productivity or productive person's week, because this is going to set the tone of the week. This is what ensures that you are working on the right things and that you're not missing anything important. Now, traditionally in GTD speak, we would call it a weekly review. Part of the reason why I moved away from GTD is because the weekly review just takes way too long. And in today's society, we don't have that much time to be going through every single project that's 2 tasks or more in order to establish what we need to be doing. My weekly planning session is a lot different. It is reviewing projects, but it's only reviewing the active projects that are due or coming up in the near future. And really it's all about making sure that the tasks I'm doing this week are the things that really matter this week. Now I have a template for this, which I am going to make available. It is in Evernote, but I will also on my website give you the option of being able to download a PDF copy if you're not using Evernote, so that you can create a checklist, if you like, of a weekly planning session of your very own. But I'm going to take you into it. Now I did do this video a few years ago. I'm going to repeat it in a sense today because it is such a vital part of becoming more productive. So I'm going to take you into my Evernote now, and I'm going to show you how I do my weekly planning session using the template that I use every single week.
Okay, so while I have covered my weekly planning session in previous episodes, I feel it is a good time to go through this again. And some things have changed since the last time I did this. Okay, first up, what it is, I've actually set this for today, but normally this task will come up as a priority task every single week. Now, for those of you who are curious, where does this task sit? Well, this task sits in my routines. Now, theoretically, it could also sit in my areas of focus because it is such a crucial part of my week. However, I want to think of this as something that I just do. It's automatic because I know what happens when I don't do the weekly plan. So let me open up the task. I mean, there's not a great deal to see within the task, but we're going to come to this in a moment because this is what's the kind of the key to this. But I've got this set up, as I mentioned, in my routines weekly. It's set for every Saturday. As you can see, I've just set it for today, which is a Tuesday, so that you can see how it lists in my daily list. And then I have it as a priority 1 because I want it at the top. Okay, so this is the key part to this. Now, I actually have a checklist that I follow, and I can add, what I'm going to do is just add that here. Now, what I do is I set up the date on the weekly planning session. Now, this is key to this because I want it to be searchable. Now, sometimes if nothing much is happening, I will actually just not necessarily add the date. The key really is this list. But the second thing about the reason why I actually have a separate date is simply because during the week, sometimes I have ideas that I think, you know what, I need to look at something. And there isn't really any specific thing to do, except it's just when I do the weekly planning. So I've added a couple of things, which I've already added yesterday, actually, which was Monday, is what can I do about my content scheduling? Because it's just a lot. I'm doing a lot of content, and this week particularly I'm getting squeezed, so I just need to look at how I'm scheduling my content so I can give myself a little bit of breathing room. And what do I need to do to be consistent with my complete emails, which I send out to people who completed the C.O.D course? So where are we here? Well, the first thing is I have a section here to be completed every week. This is kind of the non-negotiable area. So clear my Todoist inbox. So I can just click here. And I'm actually recording this in the morning. I've got one thing to do, which is to send a code to Taylor. Now, what I would do in that one, it's really quite simple. I know it's this week because it's got to be done. It's going to be done today because I know it has to be done today. And it can be P4 because I will do it this evening. So that's done. I've cleared my Todoist inbox. There you go. Now, of course, if you've got 10 or 20 things inside your inbox, it's going to take you a bit of time to do that. So I can check that one off now. Review tasks in this week's folder. So then we go down into my this week folder. And I've got a few things in here already that actually just need to be looked at. Now, normally on a Saturday, this should only be maybe 2 or 3 items. But right now, this is just, it is actually quite full, but that's simply because it's Tuesday. But it may be that there are some things in here that need to be rescheduled. Now, I should point out that this is actually quite low this week, simply because Thursday and Friday, I am going to be away. And then we go back to, so let's say I've done that one. Move tasks from next week to this week's folder. Now, this is purely time sector system. So I'm going to go into my next week. And what I would do is I would actually have a look. Now, this has become a task that needs to be done. It's actually something that I do need to bring forward. I can open it up and I can just add a due date, which will be tomorrow in this case. I'm going to change the project to this week. And it's going to be a P2 task. That's going to be a task that I need to do in the morning. And there you go. Now, there may be other things that I want to do, like I may want to do this tutorial, but this is right at the beginning of the week. So there's not likely to be very much that I've thrown in here. And I can go back. Now, the thing is, I don't necessarily need to do this go back and forth because I do know my process. It's just these 3 folders is essentially, once I've cleared my inbox, these 3 folders is where I look at. So in here, I go and look in here and just see, is there anything that I need to bring through? Maybe there isn't. And right now there isn't anything that I need to bring through. But obviously sometimes like here, I may want to say, yep, that needs to be brought through to this week. And I can just drag it in, add a date, and job's done. And that's really it. That's the main part of doing my weekly planning session. As you can see, now I've done the main part. Now in here, I can add a few notes. And this is one of the reasons why I actually like to keep the same note. Now, I don't need to keep a record of this because what I might want to do is there may be something that I decided this week doesn't need doing, but the following week maybe. So I'm just going to add a note into here that will tell me, so like review monthly folder, next month folder, I should say, and clear it out. Because maybe there's been a few things that have been sitting in there a little bit too long. So I can just decide to clear it out, and that may be just something that I want to do. So I can just add that in here. By the way, for those of you who are curious what notes app I'm using my beloved Evernote, just so that you know. But that can just be put in there. And this is one of the reasons why I use the same note week after week. Then the next one, remember, this is the area that I'm doing every single week. So the next area is review my master projects list. This is linked to a note right here. And this is my master project list. Now, I generally only put in the projects that I'm working on this quarter. And projects like, in this case, the time sector system book, which keeps getting the deadline date extended. I do apologize for those of you waiting for it, but I really want to make this book very special. And I keep every time I'm editing it, as you can see, that's the process where I'm at the moment. I keep seeing, okay, I want to add this chapter. I want to add that chapter. So please be patient. It will come. But so this is not a this quarter project necessarily, but it is something I am actually working on. Now, so this is really what it's telling me. My third mini course, which will come this quarter, I haven't quite decided yet on the topic, but that will be coming in the next week or two. Then I can plan it out and set up the recording date. I have my deadline date there. The big project I'm working on right now is my time and life mastery update. That's now in progress, and that's all there. Now, the beauty of doing it this way in Evernote is that when I scroll across to over here, I can now, if I think, you know what, I need to look at this project, I can just tap on that, and it's going to open up the project that I'm looking for, which is absolutely fantastic. That's what I really want to do. Now I'm just going to go back to my weekly planning. Trying to do this. So this is my weekly planning session right there. And so I can just go back to my master project list. I should have done it that way actually, but there we go. So what we're doing, so all the links to like even my fitness project, which I'm doing at the moment, I've got a link to it. This is the same note. I haven't changed the title of the note. That's all. Project 52 is a project related to that secret project. And with my mini course, because right now I don't actually have a title, there's no project link, and then there's obviously a link directly to the project. So if I need to go in deeper and look at that project, but this is something that I look at, and I usually, if necessary, I will go through these and just update them if necessary. Most of the time though, I don't really need to change that, so that's fine. That's no problem there. So let's go back to the weekly planning session. So let's say I've done that one now, and then my final part is to review my calendar, which will tells me all my appointments for next week, just to make sure that I haven't overscheduled myself at the end of the month. And finally, we can just look at these. This is like review the next month folder, which I do on the last Saturday of the month, and that just goes into my Todoist next month folder, which is right there. And then I go into review calendar for the month. So there could be some big appointment. There might be a festival that we might be going to. It might be we're going on a trip somewhere. I just need to know when they are coming up. And then every 3 months, which is review the long-term and on hold folder, anything brought forward or deleted. That's what I'm always looking at to try and remove from that folder. And then review my systems every 3 months just to see that everything's working well. And that's just looking at the collecting, the organizing, and the doing part. Now, another reason why I use the same note, and I'll show you how I changed this, is I actually add little notes and observations down at the bottom. And that's what's just to let me know anything that I may need to be aware of outside of this area right here. So once I've done my weekly review, what I do is I just change this here, and I will change that to the 30th, which would be the next session. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, I can just keep this. I just put this here because sometimes I do a complete review and I want to keep the sheet just simply because of the notes, and I can just create a new one from the template. But there you go. That is how I do my weekly planning session. Now, I am going to confess right now that one of the things that I will do at the end of each session is I just uncheck everything. It's just that maybe next time I'm in a rush when I'm doing it, so I just uncheck. But that's all I have to do. Now, another thing that I should point out is when you do this week after week after week, which is what you should be doing, what you will find is you don't really need this checklist. I always have it open just so that if there's anything I need to add that I don't want to look at this week, but I do know I will have to look at next week, as I did here, I just added this note, then that's what I can do, and it's always there. So I tend to use the same sheet, just have it open. I don't really need to check things off now, but when you're first starting, I strongly recommend that you use this note. So for those of you who are using Evernote, I will put the link to this note so you can share this note with yourself, or I'll give you a link to the actual template, because that way you don't have all my notes, but you can then use the template. And if you are not using Evernote and you're using some other notes app, I do have my weekly planning session sheet as a PDF on my website, which is carlpullein.com. You can go and download it for free right there. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode. And it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.
Hello, thank you very much for watching my videos. Now I have something exciting to tell you about. Recently I have developed a brand new time management system. It's a system designed to manage your time in the 21st century. The world has changed a lot over the last 20 years. In fact, it's actually changed a lot this year. And what we need now is a system, a time management system that is very easy to use, easy to maintain, so that you can spend more of your time doing the work. And that's what the time sector system is all about. It's going to change your whole belief system about the way a time management system should work, because this focuses on when you are going to do the task. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how motivated, inspired, or how urgent something is. If you don't have time to do it, it is never going to get done. And that's what this system is built around, getting your work done, so you can spend more of your time doing the things that you want to do. I hope you join me in this course. The full details of the course are in the show notes below, so please join me, and thank you very much for watching this brief video.